This is my story about the Ferrari 355. In the spring of '94, Ferrari launched this car. It's a massive acclaim. And I had a reasonable life at the time. I had a good job working for the man, and I had a nice company car, a Rover 200 Tomcat. Nothing to complain about. But every time there was a road test of this car in car or performance car or Top Gear, they just loved it. And I loved the looks of it. I just wanted one really badly. And then Jeremy Clarkson did his famous trip to Maranello's to buy his own Ferrari 355. He liked it so much he was going to buy one himself. And I remember him biting his knuckles because he wasn't sure what colour to get and ended up getting red. And I thought, oh, I want what he has. I want a Ferrari 355. How am I going to do that? I don't know if you've ever watched that movie, Sweet Revenge, about this car thief who's so desperate for a Ferrari Dino she'd do anything. Well, I wasn't that desperate, but I thought, I've got to find a way. And I thought the only way of getting this is starting my own business. I remember being on a trip to Le Mans and my mates trying to talk me out of starting my own business and saying, look, you've got a good job, you're making good money. This is a crazy move. One of my main drivers, though, to take that risk and roll the dice was I wanted one of these. And I did it because of that. Not just because of that. You know, I wanted everything else, but something has to really motivate you when you start a business and take a big risk of walking out of a good job. Something has to really drive you. It can't just be the thought of, oh, I'm going to be better off. Something physical, something attainable, something real has to drive you. That's what I think. Anyway, I started my own business. Got somebody to back me. That guy was, you know, I'm very grateful to him to come up with the money. I didn't have the money to start that business. He backed me. He gave me an impossible target in the first month, and if I hit that target, he'd loan me his Porsche 993 for a month. Great car, fantastic car. But the first thing I did with that car was book a test drive in a Ferrari 355. To me, I had to have the credibility of turning up in a decent car in order to drive a 355. Probably didn't, but that's how I viewed it anyway. So I remember rocking up at Bob Horton's in the Cotswolds. Thank you, Bob. You didn't realise I didn't have any money at the time, but I had potential, and I had the most amazing test drive. I remember the salesman at the time. I'm not sure who it was, really. It could have been Bob. I don't know. I remember him saying, there's no more cameras after this point. And I remember gunning this Ferrari across country, and it was fabulous. This car lived up to everything that I expected. So I came away from that test drive thinking, I really, really, really want one of these now. So it just fueled the fire. For what's amazing about this car is that it looks great, but it lives up to the hype. When you drive it, it drives fantastically. You know, the first time I got a Rolex, I'd seen all the ads and thought, that's nice. But as soon as it was on my wrist, it was just another piece of jewellery, really. It's nice, but it doesn't change your life. This changed my life. I just thought, wow, now I've driven one, I really want a 355. So it made me start my business, and then it fueled that fire that was burning. I worked late, I worked weekends, I schmoozed, I did everything I had to do to make that business a success. And about 3 years later, amongst a load of other things that were happening in my life, I bought one. I bought my first 355. Probably a bit early, but it was that much of an important thing to me that I had to get a 355. And it was a 3-year-old car. It was more than I'd ever spent on anything except a house. It was crazy. I think it was £85,000, if I remember rightly. The second gear synchros weren't working, probably why it was a bit cheaper. But what a car. It was just everything that I hoped it would be. We did have fun with that first 355. I remember my pregnant wife and I going to Donington Park Ferrari track day, and they said beginners out first, so she went out first, and it wasn't beginners, and she came round gunning the car in the lead of a pack, and it was just a staggering thing to see. But it's really an infectious car to drive. Everyone loves it, and on track, it's proper pussycat. It's great on track, much better than later Ferraris. It just really handles beautifully. And I remember going off after baby was born, going off for a checkup with the baby in a baby seat in the front of Ferrari 355. I mean, it's fabulous times. This car's created fabulous memories for us. Now, I didn't keep that car for that long. It was probably a bit early. I remember selling it thinking I felt guilty. I had a young baby. We had lots of other things going on. But within 2 years, that need came back and I bought another one. It was actually a car that Evo magazine had road tested, and I bought that particular car, and it was another fantastic red Ferrari 355 that I owned for quite a while before I started thinking of other things and Maserati 4-seater so that kids wouldn't be left out and all that sort of thing. But by 2010, I was pining for a 355, and I bought a Spider, and must have been right at the bottom of the market, 35,000 quid for a 355 Spider. And that's probably the car that I did the most miles and worried about the least. And it was just fantastic. I've driven a lot of miles in a Ferrari 355. And I had a very dark red with crema, one that I bought of my brother. That's probably my biggest regret. That was a sweet early 355 with the beautiful 3-spoke steering wheel, no airbags. That was just sublime. Now, I rode the market and sold it well, but I wish I still had that car. That was definitely one that got away. And now, fast forward to 2024, and I've got a 355 again, and I thought I'd missed the boat, to be honest, but this one came up. It was cheap because it's an F1, but I absolutely love it. And I think that this is a sweet spot car. It really drives beautifully. It's fast enough. It's as fast as you'll ever need. The noise it makes is sublime. The handling is absolutely spot on. It's slightly low geared steering, but that just seems to help with the turning. I cannot explain how exquisite the handling of this car is. The brakes are perfect. The air conditioning blows ice cold. There is nothing to complain about with this car. There's a few niggles that have happened over the years, but nothing, really nothing that makes any difference to your life. Just to say, we took this car on an amazing driving holiday this year, so check out our previous video, but we found some fabulous roads and actually drove it through Scovia Old Town, which was amazing. Ridiculous. But the people just love seeing it in that kind of environment. And the tunnels coming out of the bow are just what this car's about. So yeah, check it out when you get the chance. If you are thinking about a 355 in the future, I would recommend Slade Garage in Penn in Buckinghamshire. He's well known for specialising in 355s, and he knows all about them, and he's always got a good selection. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, contact Dan. He's a good chap. But the reason why I'm saying this changed my life, and I'll go back to that, is that without that urge to own this car, I don't know if I'd have started my own business. And without me starting my own business, there's probably, there's quite a few people who started in either recruitment or IT careers because of my business. Now, whether they would have started in that business without that opportunity I gave them, I don't know. But it all leads on. And my question is now, really, what is it that people aspire to now? Whether it's a car, what object do they aspire to? Because I think it's important for economic purposes. I mean, this was built in Italy, but think of the economic pluses that this car has created in this country, with me trying to start a business and building a business and building another business. And it came from the urge to want this. That's how capitalism works, as far as I'm concerned. But what is the thing now that is getting kids out of bed? I mean, I've got a Murcielago Roadster. Look at that on other videos. If you were a few years younger than me, that was your I need one of those type cars. What is it now, though? That's my question. Is it a McLaren? Is it a hybrid Ferrari? Is it an electric Ferrari that makes sort of strange recorded noises? I don't think it is. I question it, and I want people to answer on the on YouTube. What do you think is getting kids out of bed to start their own businesses now? I'm not sure. Maybe driving is not the way forward because of the speed limits and all other restrictions that are put on cars. I mean, you can't buy a car these days that hasn't got automatic lane hold, automatic active cruise, bonging for everything. It drives you crazy. You only have to watch some of the videos of new cars on YouTube now to realise they're not cars. You operate them, and it will be self-driving soon. I don't think cars are going to be this object of utter desirability that they were back in the day of the 355. I really don't think they are. So anyway, I'm rambling on a bit, but this car changed my life and therefore changed a lot of other people's lives in the process. In the 60s, it could have been an E-Type. In the 70s, it could have been the Lotus Esprit S1. In the 80s was a bit of a black hole. I don't know, a DeLorean. 90s, 355. Noughties, Lamborghini Murcielago or Gallardo. 2010 to 20, maybe, I don't know, McLaren. What is it now, though? That's my question. Thanks for watching.